How would the strongest sorcerer Gojo Satoru do against the 5 strongest characters in Chainsaw Man Part 1? Not going to be including Part 2, just strictly going to be talking about the one that finished. We're reading what's probably going to end up being Gojo's best fight in the series, depending on how you look at it. And I just got inspired to make this video, and I wanted to do something with Chainsaw Man 2, because I kind of got that on my mind since I've been rereading it, so why not start with this? So we're going to see how Gojo is. I'm going to try not to be biased, because I'm going to lie, this one was pretty difficult, especially the last 3, because there's a lot of technicalities in it. But let's see how he does. The first one up, we're going to go with the Santa Claus Devil, who has doll creation. Anytime it touches a person, it turns them into a doll that obeys her at will. Dolls can turn their bodies into weapons, like turning their arms into blades and etc. Also, we have the perfect doll creation, which is an emotion infused doll creation. But I'm kind of, for this one, just going to include that in doll creation, because then we got the Cursed Devil contract. So by sacrificing the feelings in your fingers, the contract requires the intended victim to be stabbed 4 times, and then it's game over. I really don't want to include the Hell Devil part. I feel like that one's a bit much, and I don't think that would naturally come for her, so I'm just going to keep that one out of it. I think this one's pretty easy. This is definitely a Gojo win. I think it's a low diff, because this would actually be played out very similar to how it was in Shibuya, and we kind of seen a little bit in Chainsaw Man, where they're going to try to overwhelm Gojo with just the number of people he would have to take out and kill. And just factoring that in, I still feel like he wouldn't have that much of a problem, considering there's no one in that verse that's pretty much as smart as Kenjaku. So factoring that in, I think he wouldn't have a problem. Plus, he could teleport a little quicker with the Limitless and the Infinity. I feel like he would try to get close to the Santa Claus Devil as close as he possibly could. And I could see him using something like Reversal Red to get rid of her, or he can use Blue Lapse to kind of bring in the enemies. I feel like the Santa Claus Devil doesn't really have much he can really do outside of psychologically trying to damage Gojo in terms of just testing his humanity. But other than that, I think Gojo takes this one relatively smooth. I'm giving this a win, and it's going to be a low diff. Up next, we got the Gun Devil. Now, the Gun Devil, all very simple. It shoots bullets, fires bullets from multiple guns at, from what looks like almost a citywide radius. It takes out people from completely different states, kills literally nations worth of people, whether it's babies, old people, teenagers, it doesn't matter. And the velocity is enough to tear down buildings and houses. It happens so fast, a lot of people can't even react to it when it happens, and it's just almost as quick as like blinking your eye and it's over. It does have regeneration, although the regeneration is not as strong as you would think, considering that a lot of the bullet flesh comes off of it, so its regeneration process is relatively slow. That's one of the downsides to the Gun Devil. I went back and forth with this one a lot, simply because the Gun Devil's speed and the velocity of those bullets would cause a problem for Gojo, and I wonder if those bullets would be strong and fast enough to almost pierce through his Infinity, and it's really hard to judge. But if I was to have to go on just scenario wise, and we're kind of going to look at them as they're placed in an arena and they're just fighting, I feel like Gojo would kind of have a little bit of an advantage just because of his speed, and he would also kind of have the domain expansion advantage, especially if he can kind of get into his mind, overfill it with infinite void and endless information. That's the best way he can win. Also with Hollow Purple, I think the fact that it can erase things such as the bullets and everything that comes off of the Gun Devil, I feel like that's his best chances to win. He would not be able to do a great job at handling the Gun Devil just off the fact, once the Gun Devil shoots, it does take a while to shoot again. That's the one thing he would have to take advantage of, and I think he would do that relatively well. Plus, we've seen characters like Mockingbird kind of transport herself and have an attack prepared for the Gun Devil at point blank range, and once she got that attack off, it was relatively over. I think Gojo would do something really similar, erase the space between him and the Gun Devil, get behind it or above it, and then use a Hollow Purple to finish it off. Do I think he can tank a bullet from it? Not necessarily, because it would have to be incredible for him, especially if it's a headshot. If it's a headshot, it's game over. But if he was to be able to react to it fast enough and he was just to get hit on his arm or his leg, definitely cause severe damage, and we'll see how well his reverse curse technique is when it comes to just amputating his body pretty much, because it's going to take off limbs. But I would give this edge to Gojo, a mid to high diff to me. Third battle, we got the Darkness Devil. This one is going to be really hard because it's just hacks all around. Some of this kind of doesn't even make sense how it works. We'll see how it comes out. So we know he has darkness manipulation. It's just the embodiment of any primal fear and the main target fear. He can control the area around him of darkness and just summons like dead astronauts. It's like a flex or something like that, because they didn't really do anything, but it looked pretty raw, so I'm cool with it. Blade of Darkness, once it slices its opponent, it's basically over, or you're at least taking severe damage or losing a limb. And then it has obviously Force Manipulation. That's going to be coming up again. And then the only weakness it has is that it's weak to light. My only biggest flaw with this is Gojo and the Force Manipulation. and the Blade of Darkness, because it doesn't necessarily show that both of those things have like an activation. It kind of just happens in like a snap of a finger at will. So it's really hard for me to say who wins this. And I think Gojo in Chainsaw Man's Hell would be like a really cool aesthetic to pull off and trying to get him in there. And that's where I'll have this battle take place. But even though this is Gojo and this is my guy, I just don't see him winning because there's so many illogical things that the Darkness Devil does, and it doesn't matter how far it is. I will say the only way Gojo could realistically win is if he is fast enough to realize that this is his strongest opponent, he can't mess around, and he uses the point 2 domain expansion that he used in Shibuya and try to stun him. But even then, I'm not even sure if that'll be quick enough to get the Darkness Devil, because the Darkness Devil moves faster than you moving your body, and he would have to get the sign up. Ah, man, I don't really see it happening, sadly. Plus, anything that he can do is kind of just going to work in hell. Like, I think the best case for this is what he did to the Fiend Devil when he literally just chants and it puts holes in his body. And then I don't think healing is going to be a really big factor for Gojo either, because the Darkness Devil takes off limbs and the Angel Devil can heal and is one of the best healers in the series and permanently lost its limbs. So that's just not going to happen. I think sadly this is Gojo's first loss, and I'm gonna give it to him in the mid section of this gauntlet with the 5 characters, and I think it's going to be a Darkness Devil win, but it's going to be a mid diff. Opponent number 4, we got probably his most famous crossover matchup that they like to do, but that's going to be Mockingbird. Now, we already know she's the control devil, having control over people that's inferior to her. That is a key aspect. And she has manipulation over everything. She can borrow senses from animals to spy on conversations and people, using her victims and their abilities with a chain collar summoning like dogs, like she did with Aki and the Angel and Kwang Shi and etc. That whole chain that she had of people, that was part of her weapon. She also has force manipulation, kind of similar to the Darkness Devil, but I don't think it's as powerful. This one is going to be very hard. It's just so many things that could play out. But I just want to say this one. I feel like the aspect of her controlling Gojo is thrown out the window, because we know Gojo is incredibly confident. He calls himself the strongest sorcerer. He doesn't back down from fights. He's constantly thinking he can take out anyone. And we know that he thinks even his students could at some point surpass him. So Gojo never views an enemy as someone that's above him, or even against Sukuna. He views Sukuna as the challenger. So that whole concept is pretty much null and void. Now, Makima obviously has other varied options, such as the other devil contracts she has with the devil users that she's taken over, like Aki with the future devil, like the snake devil, and etc. And I feel like out of all of those, the best one would be the future devil and her usage of the angel. I just don't see the snake devil or spider devil being really a threat at all. Kind of similar to the punishment devil, so I'm kind of just throwing those out. And we know she has like a mortem of weapons, like an entire bundle of weapons that she uses to take out the gun devil. But in this scenario, it would also be very close. I think force manipulation, if she was able to actually get a distance, because we never seen Makima other than the gun thing where she points people out and shoots them, which even then you've noticed that you can actually dodge those and kind of take a couple hits depending on how good your healing is. I think Gojo kind of takes this one. It's just going to be very hard. I think obviously both sides can take each other out. I'm not gonna say it's not close or anything similar to that, but unlike someone like Denji and the Gun Devil, who just deal a crazy amount of damage, Gojo's Hollow Purple would be the end game for her, because it just erases anything in its existence. Plus, I don't think she would have a logical counter to the domain expansion, because that would just freeze her in her place, and then Gojo can kind of go from there. If he has enough curse energy that he can build back up, he can use the Hollow Purple or he can use Blue Lapse. It's a ton of options for both of them, but I think I'm going to actually give this edge to Gojo. It's going to be a high diff, but I think Gojo can take that one. And for the last character, we got to go Denji. I'm going to give Denji, and he's going to use all his forms. Obviously, as the Chainsaw Man, he's got his devil powers. We all know what he can do at this point. Crazy regeneration, pretty much immortal at this point. He can use his chains from the chainsaws to grapple and hook onto things or capture people. He has the Hell Chainsaw Man form, which is just him on steroids and cracked. Other than him just completely mauling some of Makima's devils that she had, like the Bomb Devil, Kwang Shi, and etc. I think his greatest feat in that form was the fact that he was able to get kicked into outer space, survive, come back down with an attack, and was still able to continuously kill Makima over 100 different times. And I have to put in the fact that whatever he eats, he can erase from existence, as well as the name for it. I mean, unless he tries to eat Gojo, that could be an option, but But as much as I love that form, I don't think he's gonna be able to eat Gojo. I think in this fight, as much as on paper routes I thought this would be relatively interesting, it's really not. I think Gojo kind of takes this one relatively easy, considering he just has way more moves that can kind of slow Denji down with mainly domain expansion. I think that's really all he needs. Obviously, I've said Hollow Purple for everything, and that's kind of just because Hollow Purple is busted. But Blue Laps would be kind of crazy on him just to kind of maneuver Denji between the spaces between him and Gojo, and kind of using him. He can slam him up against walls if he wanted to, and then use a reversal red. It's so many options for Gojo against Denji. And even though Denji is kind of somewhat immortal, even though you can technically kill him, there's just too many ways that he gets caught. I mean, Makima took out Denji's quote-unquote strongest form, the full form, which is when he gives in to Pochita. She was still able to beat him at that state. He just had to outsmart Makima, slice her up, and then dice and then eat her up for dinner. So yeah, I think on paper, I think the full form Denji double transformation versus Gojo will look amazing, but I think realistically, Gojo just takes this one too many times. I'm going to give this one a mid-diff, because I do think he can kind of surprise Gojo with that speed and that durability, so it's not going to be easy. So I'm going to give him a mid-diff over Denji to cap off his run in the Chainsaw Man verse. Of course, feel free to leave your opinions in the comment section down below of if Gojo actually loses this fight or if he actually takes a win on that one. Let me know in the comment section below. I did this one because y'all picked a poll and you chose Chainsaw Man. I was a little surprised. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Naruto was gonna win, but Chainsaw Man came in and I was kind of shocked because I didn't really ever put Gojo versus the Chainsaw Man verse like that. And after doing my research and just doing some rereading, yeah, this came out a lot different than I thought it would be. But if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the second channel for other stuff that's anime, manga, and eventually maybe even some gaming and some other things on there. Maybe even a little bit of a comic book or movies. I don't know, I'll throw anything on there. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.